parts of our area experiencing heavy rain and strong winds as Tropical Storm Debbie makes its way through our area. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Shannon Royster.
And I'm Greg Coy. That's why we have a team coverage tonight all across Southeast Georgia and across the Low Country.
Unfortunately, one car was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and a tree fell right on top of it.
Some of the worst flooding conditions we saw during the overnight hours into the early morning here along White Bluff. As you can see, several cars simply left abandoned. They couldn't make their way through the floodwaters. Things got so high here during the overnight hours. Saw 2, 3, 4 cars. They actually closed down White Bluff.
What do I do? What's my next step? I only know how to be strong.
At 2 a.m. Tuesday morning, Shakina Conyers and her 4 kids woke up to this. A tree coming through the roof of their home.
I thought maybe Debbie was outside. I don't know, it just was real scary, and I jumped up, and first thing I did was check on my kids to make sure they was okay.
The tornado warning, again, is these red lines that you see here. So if you're near or within those red lines, please be taking your tornado precautions right now. This is continuing to track to the northwest right around 30 miles per hour. So it will be nearing Highway 21. Beaufort and Port Royal, you need to monitor this very closely.
I don't even have the right words to say.
I know. Can't say anything, really.
Sandra Martin has lived in her home on State Route 169 since 1988.
Last night we noticed that there was water coming in the yard, and at that time we didn't really know how bad it was.
Martin says her home now has nearly 2 feet of water on the inside.
I want to give you a bird's eye view of a Richmond Hill Place neighborhood. Take a look at this video we're showing you, because people living there are still experiencing intense flooding after Tropical Storm Debbie. For many people, he was President Carter. To some, he was James Carter Jr. And to a lot of people in Georgia, he was Jimmy. From Plains, Georgia, to the State House and then to the White House, Jimmy Carter became the 39th president to lead this nation. But it all started on a peanut farm in Plains, Georgia, about 3.5 hours from Savannah. And that's where we find WJCL 22 News' weekend anchor investigative reporter Andy Cole. Andy, that community of Plains really shaped his life, you've learned.
Absolutely, Greg. This is an incredibly small-knit, small population town. In 2023, the census had this population at 550. So this is an incredibly small-knit town that made the man who became Jimmy Carter. And everything moves a bit slower in a town like Plains. Everything except for news of the death of their hometown boy, former President Jimmy Carter.
Well, it is sad. He was a huge part of our community, but I kind of take away from it, it's a time to celebrate his life.
Breaking news at 4, the Department of Defense announced today the death of 3 Army Reserve soldiers supporting Operation Inherent Resolve were all from Georgia. Sergeant William Jerome Rivers was from Carrollton. Specialist Kennedy Layden Sanders was from Waycross. And Specialist Brianna Alexandra Moffitt was from Savannah.
You know, expecting that it'll be the last time that you talk to somebody is just sacred.
Sarai Truel says nothing could have prepared her for Sunday's news. Specialist Brianna Moffitt turned 23 years old less than 2 weeks ago. She was stationed in Northeast Jordan when a drone strike killed her. It was her first deployment.
I think I'm still in disbelief. It just, I don't know when it will hit me.
That's a massive storm. And
wow, this wind is really whipping around now because, oh my God, the palm tree literally just collapsed. The tree that I was just referencing swaying so much just collapsed about 10 feet from where I'm standing.
This was a forest full of trees. Now it's just completely vacant.
At one point, we had 7 tornado warnings that were active.
All of the warnings that you're giving about these tornadoes are very vital because things have turned deadly here. 2 people have now been confirmed dead about 20 minutes away from where I am in Wheeler County. Now, we got reports here at the emergency agency that tell us that 2 people are dead because their trailer that they were in was lifted up from its foundation by a tornado.
There are 7 dead in Georgia due to Helene's impacts, but 1 dead in Liberty County after a tree fell on a camper.
Mom liked to laugh, liked to smile.
For Donna Kendall's son, Ken, all he has left is pictures.
And there's my mother and there's me.
She died in September, but not before being scammed out of $1 million.
She had made 5 wire transfers that totaled about $170,000. And I'm saying, who is this person? And she said, well, I've been meaning to tell you about that.
I can't thank you enough for doing this. You said you were going to talk to them about it, and they did the right thing because of you.
An hour after our interview, Andrews got this text message from StubHub confirming the refund.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for the justice that you brought for me. Thank you, thank you.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
How are we feeling today?
Good.
Let's go, Savannah! Yes! Let's go, Savannah, Georgia.
This is our Super Bowl. All hands on deck.
We bring in so many out-of-town guests, and I just think that it is so awesome when we have guests that come from Ireland here for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at that float that's coming down right now, I mean, they have their Limerick flags, and it's just, I mean, the fact that people from Ireland come to Savannah, Georgia, where, I mean, Ireland is the home to all of this.
Yep.
2 people are dead, 14 others injured, all from a violent weekend in Savannah with 5 separate shootings since Friday. And it ended with a mass shooting near Ellis Square in downtown that left 11 people shot.
Police say once one group pulled the trigger, more shooters fired off rounds. In total, 11 people injured.
Really try and delve into a particular sensitive, emotional issue about crime in Savannah. Is Savannah a violent city?
I would say no. I would say that there is violence in the city, but I don't believe that the city is a violent city.
I leaped and jumped. The 2 girls behind me, they fell in, the whole ramp fell in, collapsed.
Tonight, at least 7 people have died after a ferry dock gangway collapse.
There were 40 people on that gangway that fell into the water.
Breaking news at 6 in the trial of Leilani Simon, the Savannah mother accused of murdering her toddler son and throwing his body in a dumpster, is found guilty on all charges.
As to the verdict, it reads as follows. We, the jury, find as follows: malice murder. We find the defendant guilty.
Couch with me with Second Harvest of Coastal Georgia. These turkeys are being collected to have you then distribute them to families in need, correct?
That's correct. We'll be actually giving out about 4,000 turkeys, and they will be going out to all of the different nonprofit organizations in town.
It's just the right thing to do. You know, this has been a hard year for a lot of people, and if I can help you get through that valley and reach that mountaintop, baby, I'm here.
What's the final tally?
All right, here we go.
12-01, we did it!
It's really 2 books, one about Savannah and the kookiness of it, and the beauty of it, and the wonderfulness of it, and then, boom, a shooting.
In Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil came out back in 1994.
Right away, it became a bestseller, and it didn't stop.
It is a fascinating story.
The book came out, and the city was never the same again.
I am astonished every time I think about it.
WJCL 22 presents Chronicle, Midnight Miracle.
It might be hard to believe, but the book Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, it's been around for over 30 years now.
And while many of the real-life people dppicted in the novel have since passed away, there's still one person who's still around and who we were lucky enough to speak with.
With that said, let's catch up with the man who started it all, the author, John Barrett.
Well, I am astonished every time I think about it. No, I didn't expect it. When Random House said, I think this is going to be a winner, I thought, okay, you say that to all your authors.
But John Barrett isn't like other authors. This 84-year-old Harvard grad, born and raised in upstate New York, responsible for helping put Savannah on the map. His 1994 bestseller, Midnight in a Garden of Good and Evil, was simply put, a phenomenon.